At Sertoma, accessibility is at the heart of what we do. Our mission is rooted in supporting individuals with hearing loss and communication disorders, but accessibility goes far beyond that. It's about creating spaces where everyone, regardless of ability, background, or circumstance, can engage, contribute, and feel like they truly belong. Whether you're planning a small gathering or a large community event, the steps you can take can make a big difference in ensuring that everyone feels welcome and can participate fully. Even small changes, like offering captioning or adjusting your room setup, can have a meaningful impact. In this session, we'll share practical, easy-to-implement tips to help you identify and remove common barriers to access. From communication tools to venue considerations, signage to inclusive outreach, we'll cover a range of strategies that can create a better, more welcoming experience for all of your attendees. Accessibility should be a core value woven into the culture of every Sertoma club. As an organization dedicated to helping people with hearing loss and communication challenges, we have a responsibility to lead by example, not just in our mission work, but in how we operate day to day. This means recognizing that accessibility isn't just about compliance or convenience. It's about dignity, equity, and ensuring everyone has a chance to participate fully. When accessibility becomes part of our mindset, it shapes how we plan events, communicate with members, and welcome new individuals into our community. This commitment must extend beyond internal practices to how we engage with the public. Whether it's a service project, fundraiser, community outreach event, or social gathering, accessibility should be built in from the very start. Simple steps like those we'll discuss today can make a world of difference. By prioritizing accessibility in both public and club events, Sertoma clubs demonstrate true inclusion and reinforce our mission values in everything that we do. Everything we do in accessibility planning should be focused on one core goal: benefiting the attendees. And with that in mind, it only makes sense to start by asking them what they need. Event planning is all about meeting the needs of many, and when it comes to accessibility, we're serving a diverse group. That means accounting for a wide range of needs, both visible and invisible. This includes things like audio, visual, and mobility support, but also dietary restrictions, environmental sensitivities, and language access. What you offer and prioritize will depend on your audience. So whenever possible, begin by asking and really listening to what they need. Take a thoughtful look at the group you're serving. One key opportunity to do this is during registration. Cornell University recommends making it clear to attendees that they can contact the event planner if they have specific requests. They suggest using language like this: "We strive to host inclusive, accessible events that enable all individuals, including individuals with disabilities, to engage fully. To be respectful of those with allergies and environmental sensitivities, we ask that you please refrain from wearing strong fragrances. To request an accommodation or for inquiries about accessibility, please contact us." They also recommend giving people the option to self-identify any accommodation needs at the time of registration. That can include assistive listening devices, captioning, reserved seating, large print materials, wheelchair access, seating arrangements, dietary restrictions, and special facility needs. It's also a good idea to include a fill-in-the-blank option for other. If you're unable to meet a specific request, be sure to follow up directly with that person to explore whether an alternate arrangement is possible. And finally, if an accommodation requires any special instructions or information, make sure to follow up with those attendees in advance so that they know what to expect. Cornell also recommends sending out reminders a day or two before the event, especially if they are important details like maintaining a nut-free or scent-free environment. There are also important questions you'll need to ask the venue. Choosing the right environment is absolutely key to creating an accessible event. And there's a lot to think about, everything from visibility and sightlines, to acoustics and sound quality, to mobility access and overall layout. You'll also want to consider the availability of accessible technology, dietary accommodations, and even environmental factors like lighting, ventilation, and maybe even scent policies. As we mentioned earlier, what you need to prioritize will depend on your specific audience. That's why it's so important to go into your site visits prepared, with a checklist in hand. This checklist should include essential accessibility requirements based on attendee needs, as well as other nice-to-have features that can enhance the overall experience for everyone. The more thorough you are in asking the right questions and assessing this space ahead of time, the better positioned you'll be to create a truly inclusive and welcoming environment. For instance, you may want to find out if the facility has the ability to provide real-time captioning services for the deaf and hard of hearing. The University of Kansas's Accessible KU initiative notes that planners should ask specifically if the venue has options for communication access, real-time translation, or CART. Similarly, if you're going to be showing videos, you'll want to make sure that they have screens large enough to show images clearly for those who are visually impaired and captioning for those who need it. Looking at your staging. If you need to have ASL translators, is there enough space to accommodate their placement and for those who need their services? What about signage? Is signage around the facility clear and displaying what accessible features are available and where they're located? Is it available in the languages that your audience needs? What about Braille? Knowing what your audience needs is so important here. With our national focus on hearing health, you just know we have to talk about sound and acoustics. It's important to ensure that your event space offers clear, ample sound with adequate volume control, well-placed speakers, and the option to connect to an induction loop if needed. Think carefully about microphones. What will your speakers need? And if you're including audience participation, are there microphones available at fixed locations, as well as roving mics to pass around? You'll also want to consider access to a public address system and the ability to control or eliminate background music when necessary. Finally, let's talk about acoustics. Sound reflects off the surfaces around us, and that can cause echoes. Spaces with hard surfaces like concrete floors, bare walls, or wood furniture tend to create more of an echo. On the other hand, rooms with carpeting, soft furnishings, and acoustic-friendly walls are far better suited for clear, comfortable sound. The World Institute on Disability, or WID, points out that for most modern venues, physical accessibility isn't usually an issue because it's required by law. But that's not always the case with older buildings. Either way, it's important to think about the experience from different perspectives and levels of mobility, whether someone is fully able-bodied, has limited walking ability, uses canes, crutches, or walkers, or relies on a wheelchair. Ask yourself, how easy is it to get through doorways, down hallways, and find seating? How far apart are the rooms you'll be using? And how far are those rooms from entrances, elevators, and parking? Notice both fixed features like ramps and things that can be moved like tables and chairs. For really large public events, you might even need to provide wheelchairs or scooters for rent on site. All of these details matter when making sure everyone can move around comfortably and independently. When speaking with the venue about dietary accommodations, it's essential to go beyond just offering vegetarian or gluten-free options. Be proactive in asking about how they handle food allergies, religious or cultural dietary restrictions, and specific medical conditions such as celiac disease or diabetes. Confirm whether the kitchen can prevent cross-contamination for severe allergies, and if meals can be labeled clearly with ingredients and allergens. It's also important to ask whether staff are trained to respond appropriately to food-related health emergencies. Additionally, consider the logistics of food access for attendees with mobility or sensory challenges. Ask if buffet lines are accessible to wheelchairs, if staff are available to assist those who may have difficulty carrying trays or reading small print on labels, and whether quiet, low-stimulation dining areas can be made available for those individuals with sensory sensitivities. These details not only help ensure safety, but also create a more welcoming, dignified experience for all attendees. Falling into our important other category are scent sensitivities. Many people experience allergic reactions to strong perfumes, artificial fragrances, and similar irritants. Experts at KU Accessible recommend asking attendees to refrain from using scented products during events whenever possible. It's also important to understand your venue's scent policy, especially what fragrances, if any, are used in cleaning products or for environmental ambiance. Without these considerations, attendees with scent allergies could experience a range of symptoms from exposure. Another important consideration is restrooms. WID reminds us that accessible restrooms are just as essential for outdoor events as they are for indoor ones. No matter where your event is being held, take the time to check out these spaces in advance to ensure that they're large enough to accommodate any type of mobility equipment attendees might use, without causing avoidable discomfort or inconvenience. Other considerations may include sensory needs, especially when working with children or neurodivergent individuals, which might require a designated quiet room for those who become overstimulated. You may also need private spaces for nursing mothers, gender-neutral bathrooms depending on your audience, and clear policies from the venue regarding service and comfort animals. Don't hesitate to ask questions about what is already available and how spaces can be adapted to meet the needs of your attendees. You'll also want to consult with your presenters and speakers to ensure your event is accessible to all. Ask them what they need to support their own accessibility and also what they can do to contribute to an inclusive experience for all attendees. Accessibility is a shared responsibility. Both organizers and presenters should work together to create the best possible environment. This means accommodating the diverse needs of everyone attending. Let's explore key areas we recommend you address. Cornell University offers several helpful recommendations for event planners aiming to enhance accessibility. They suggest collecting presentation and materials from speakers in advance so that they can be shared ahead of time with attendees who may not be able to view screens or flip charts during the event. Presenters are encouraged to verbally describe any visual content and to provide printed copies in large print for those who may need them. If printed materials aren't available during the session, assure attendees that they will receive them afterward for review at home. Additionally, visual presentations should avoid small print and, when possible, include larger captions to support attendees with hearing impairments. When it comes to sound, it's important to emphasize that a microphone is always necessary, regardless of whether a speaker believes that they have a loud voice that carries. Encourage all presenters to test the microphone and sound system in advance to make any needed adjustments, whether to system settings or their own vocal delivery. Remind speakers to modulate their voice appropriately, using a moderate pace, clear enunciation, and simple, concise phrasing. These practices help ensure that all attendees can hear and understand the message being conveyed, including those with hearing difficulties or for whom English may not be the first language. WID emphasizes the importance of incorporating regular breaks into your event schedule. Presenters and speakers should be prepared to accommodate these built-in pauses, which are especially vital for attendees who experience chronic pain, suffer from overstimulation, or require frequent restroom or movement breaks. In breakout group settings, advise speakers to maximize the distance between groups whenever possible. This not only helps reduce background noise, but also supports mobility and accessibility needs, especially in tighter or shared spaces. If available, check with your venue about using overflow areas or flexible public space to create a more comfortable and inclusive environment. Lastly, a quick note on the Q&A portion. Cornell University recommends that moderators repeat any audience questions aloud before responding, especially when a roving microphone is not used or wasn't accessible to the person asking. This ensures that everyone in the room can hear and follow the conversation, maintaining an equally informed experience for all. And now, a few final notes. For especially larger events, it's worth considering the presence of on-site medical staff. The World Institute on Disability points out that while this may seem like an added expense, it adds an important layer of safety in case of a health emergency. They suggest that costs can sometimes be offset by partnering with volunteer EMS personnel or inviting them as guests who are willing to assist if needed. You might even offer an in-kind sponsorship by featuring their location on event signage and materials. WID also notes that offering a hybrid model can be a valuable alternative when accessibility is a major concern for key stakeholders or a significant portion of your target audience. While it may not always be the perfect fit, and it does reduce the opportunity for in-person connection, it still ensures that those individuals can access the meeting or presentation. Accessible KU encourages event planners to include questions about accessibility in post-event surveys. This helps gauge whether the accommodations met attendees' individual needs, giving you insight into what worked well and what could be improved for future events. As we wrap up, we hope you're leaving with practical ideas and inspiration to help make your events more inclusive, welcoming, and engaging for everyone, especially those with hearing loss and communication challenges. Remember, accessibility isn't about perfection, it's about intention and progress. Every thoughtful step you take, no matter how small, can have a meaningful impact on someone's ability to connect, participate, and feel valued. By making accessibility part of your planning from the start, you're not only supporting individuals, you're strengthening your club and your community. For more information and resources on this and other topics, don't forget to check out the links on the screen.